Very pleased to be joined now by one of the best tag teams in the city and probably the province as well. It is Rhino Reynolds, Chris Castles. They are the Prophets. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. Rhino, we'll start with you as you are face painted at the side of the road. How are you today, sir?
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Just getting off my day job. So it's kind of nice, man. It's kind of nice and it's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, hey, thanks for doing this. Chris, how are you today?
Oh, not bad, I guess. End of work day, so that's a good thing. Going to Vegas in a couple days, so even better.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, there's never a bad time had out there. So I guess we'll start at the beginning. Rhino, we'll start with you. What initially got you into this wonderful world that is professional wrestling in the first place?
Actually, it was Chris. Chris started taking me to independent shows at RCW, and one of the people there was they were saying they were starting up a school and come check it out. And of course, I decided, hey, why not? Asked him if he wanted to come along, and luckily he said yes. So here we are 3 years later.
And so, Chris, I guess what was it that brought you to, maybe not like, obviously he just said you guys kind of went into wrestling together, but what drew you to the wrestling world as a whole? Like, as someone who would want to go to a show for RCW and watch it, like what about this world speaks to you?
So, like, I always grew up with wrestling. Right? My dad watched it. I watched it with him for years. That's what we do. Watch, anywhere from Saturday Night Main Event when Hogan was there to growing up, right? So I was always doing that. And then actually, my son, he had a wrestler who was in RCW, Jordan Aries, at the time, and I was his best friend, right? So he's like, "Oh, he just started premiering, so let's go see him." So we went to go see him a couple of times, right? And we are talking with him, got the whole plastic pants going on, stuff like that, right? Where he used to be there, and then Rand and me played football together a whole bunch of years. So I was like, "Hey," I started talking about this. He seemed interested, and yeah, that's kind of how we got it all going.
Nice. That, I mean, it's funny how different, like some people, it's like, I grew up watching it from two. And some people are like, I saw it one time when I was bouncing at a bar and thought, yeah, I could do that. The paths brought into this world have kind of, it's so interesting to see kind of how everyone enters this sort of a realm. Rhino, for you, what was kind of the initiation to the wrestling world like? And was there a performer or two that you kind of modeled your style after? And is there now, I guess, one or two that you kind of look at as like, I try to do that sort of a thing?
Um, I don't know if there's any particular wrestlers that I model my style after. It's a very big mashup of guys. Um, I grew up loving the big like the superstars, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, all those guys. But being that I'm 300 pounds and 6'3", generally it's a little hard for me to kind of get all their moves over. So I also grew up watching The Big Show and Brock Lesnar and all those guys. So it's really just a kind of a mashup. I take from a little bit from everybody. But initiation into the wrestling world was it was tough. It was tough at points, but I'm really glad I stuck with it for sure.
And Chris, what was the introduction into wrestling like for you?
Well, I said, like, I kind of grew up with it and always watching and stuff like that, right? And then I ended up having a family pretty early, so I set aside all the fun stuff in my life, did dealt with family stuff, and then it was just kind of when I had time, started getting into it, and I said, trained with Randon, and it's like, oh, hey, I can actually do this, right? You
Yeah.
always wonder, you watch TV, like, oh, maybe I can do that, maybe I can do that, right? And then you start doing it, and some of it you can do, some of it you realize it hurts like hell, and but you kind of get addicted to it and just keep going, right?
Yeah. Again, I find it interesting. Like the people who really get into it, there are some obviously where there's egos and stuff like that. But a lot of people, it's like, huh, I wonder if I could actually do that. But buddy, 4 beers deep, 3 rows back, it's like, I could do what they do. And then you get a guy in a cowboy hat and sunglasses yelling at you to try to beat you up and challenging you to a fight in the parking lot. Not that I'm using exact examples or anything like that. But
No, not at
well,
all.
yeah. You guys,
Never even
like you
seen
said,
that once.
yeah, oh yeah, no, yeah, I just randomly pulling different stuff out of the air here. Rhino, you said like you guys kind of went into training together. Was the idea always to be a tag team, or did you guys like start to see that, oh, there's actually chemistry in this, maybe a little bit more than we thought?
Well, originally my goal was always to be in a tag team, and when he agreed to come train, basically I was trying to sell him on it from like the start, be like, hey man, we should be a tag team. I think we could be great because we had so much chemistry from football. When I played D line and when I played D line, we always worked together. He was linebacker, so I opened up a nice hole for him, and he could go crush a quarterback or get a tackle in the backfield, and it was always really nice that way. And I know he had no like he's got for being as jacked as he is, he has such a like no ego. So I knew that him and we've always gotten along so well. I figured we'd get along really well in this.
And it seems to be working. You guys have really developed into one of the better tag teams, like I said, in the city. And it's always there's always a different energy when you guys come into the arena, or the bar or wherever it may be. Chris, as you guys have kind of gone along, I've noticed anyway, just in the brief time I've seen you guys work, that there is, like I said, that crowd reaction. Was it a time for you where it's like, oh, it's starting to click here now?
Like when we were always training, like we started training together, and then we got separated doing different schools, and we came back and stuff. It was kind of different to begin with, right? Both different styles, different coaches, and that. And so we kind of really worked together though to try and figure out what we could do together to be a tag team, right? We didn't want to do individual stuff and then make it look like a tag team. We always wanted to make it look like a tag team. And I think just growing with that, once we got more comfortable doing it, we can talk in the ring, we can talk with each other, we try things out. And yeah, it's just obviously the more time we get together in the ring, practicing, going against opponents, figuring out how each other moves and stuff like that. I think it's really good. I think, but overall, probably within the last year, I think we've really pushed ourselves to, make sure we did extra work in there, to do the extra reactions, to make sure we're on the same page, right? Like if after the end of a match, we're like, hey, we did this move, but maybe if we do it this way, it might be a bit smoother, right? And so starting to do that type of stuff, I think it really helps and shows more that we're working together instead of just two individuals.
Rhino, that seems like it would be kind of the fun part of it. Like instead of what you're like obviously you have to be thinking the whole time, but obviously, okay, I'm going to do this and now I'm going to do this, and it kind of becomes a bit of a robotic nature. Well, once you start to be like it starts to flow a little bit better, and you start to realize like, okay, we could do X, Y, and Z, but ABC, well, that could be a whole lot more fun. I imagine that's when things really start to get flowing and really start to get fun in this industry.
I find that it is for sure. I find that it's a lot of creative collaboration, especially in the tag team end of things. There's only so much you can do as an individual, but when you have that second person able to, especially like somebody like Chris, in comparison to my style, which is a lot of just big power stuff, big man stuff, he's so acrobatic and athletic that we literally have no limits to what we can or can't do, and we can even switch roles in certain scenarios for certain moves, which is fantastic. So we're never giving the fans the same thing where it's just like, oh yeah, this is happening and this is happening and that's it and that's all. So
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy that collaborative nature, especially being in a tag team with one of my best friends. So.
Chris, looking at obviously it's been brought up a couple times. You are a rather in shape fellow. I do believe that I saw on social media some powerlifting that you were partaking in. Is that a just a passion project of lifting things up and putting them down? Or is there a competitive aspect to it? To tell me a little bit more about that world, because I am very obviously not well versed in it.
Well, so like I've always done lifting and stuff like that to keep myself active and stuff like that, right? And just the way I've always done it, it's been more of a strength training for me instead of building muscle and stuff like that, which obviously comes afterwards. But so it was do that, and we go to this gym. I go to. They have powerlifting competitions there. They've done it for a couple of years now, and the owner there was talking with me, asked me, hey, how about doing this? And so I started trying it out and see. And once you start doing it, you realize, hey, you're good at it, right? And you kind of hit the levels and stuff. So I was trained at it and really trained. It's definitely something I'm very competitive at now, right? And luckily for me, my first meet doing it, I was able to go out and make a national record, which was amazing for me. Very happy, right? And I'm actually got another competition here in July, which I'm going to try to increase that record or go closer to world record. And yeah, something just kind of fell into my lap that I've been doing for years and just never knew I could compete at it, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I don't know that either. Also not luckily. You like there's work that goes into it. You don't luck
Yeah.
your way into records in lifting, but appreciate the humility nonetheless. How do you find that translates into the wrestling world? Like obviously you are lifting people and then dropping them in ways that you're hoping is safe. You have, as mentioned, a bit more of an athletic style. Is there like a balance of super jacked, but also need to keep that athleticism? Like, how do you how do you walk that balance? I guess.
So for me, like I've always been sports my whole life, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's been football, rugby, anything like that, it's always been sports. So I've always tried to keep myself athletic and moving and stuff. So it comes really natural for me. So I don't really notice it a lot of what I can and can't do. Things that I'm worried about trying in the ring, I will try and practice and practice. And I find though the way I have done lifting my life and stuff, it helps me more of like because more core balance, more all around. So it gives me a strength to be able to do the stuff I want to, right? And
Yeah.
that way it gives me the ability to either jump higher or be able to take the bumps or lift the person up as needed, different things like that, right? Like not all of us can be 300 pounds and lift a guy like he's nothing.
I'm neither. Another part of this is the fan interaction, and that is something that, candidly, I think you guys do very, very well. I'm always at these shows that I'm at, always seeing you guys interacting with fans. Always seeing you like taking extra moments to chat. You are always the first ones out for the intermission, and generally the last ones to leave as well. Rhino, is that just a natural I guess being an extrovert, or is that something that you just recognize like, hey, I was once the person here, so I think it would be cool that this is how I would have wanted to be treated, so that's what I'm going to do? Where does that sort of an interaction, I guess, come from?
It comes. It's a little bit of everything you said. It's a little bit of the being starting as a fan, wanting to talk to wrestlers. It's a little bit of you know realizing that may like just talking to them for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or for however long during an intermission, taking a photo, high fiving them, letting them hold a championship belt or whatever. All that stuff makes memories. And in all honesty, the most important people at a wrestling show, in my opinion, are the fans. Because without fans, we're not getting paid. We're not performing for anybody. There's nobody there, right? So number one thing is to try to make fans happy. And if it's something as minor as us taking a photo or giving handshakes, high fives, talking to people, why not? Especially intermissions. They're like at most the longest intermission I've been a part of has been like a half hour. So if I'm hanging out for a half hour, and half the time I'm talking to Chris anyway. So we're just laughing and joking and having a good time, getting ready for either for a match or we're recovering from our last one. So like there's no reason to be in a bad mood or be upset or whatever. Like fans are one of the most important things in wrestling. Without them, there's nothing. There's no reason to do any of it.
I will say the longest intermission I saw was the one at the Legion where it was like an hour 15 because light tubes had to be cleaned up. But that was extenuating circumstances. That was that was a little weird. And at some point it just became a cleanup effort, less of an intermission. But I guess Chris, same question to you. The importance of interacting with the fans and creating those memories like Rhino talked about.
Oh, I think it's like one of the best parts of wrestling, right? There's no
Yeah.
way I'd do it without the fans there, right? As much as I love the sport and everything, but that's the whole point of doing it is for the fans, right? We don't go and put our bodies out there and take the punishment we do just to look at each other and be, oh yeah, good job, right? Like,
Yeah.
so that's it. Like, it's 100% for them. So if I can go around, high five, try and get that energy up, see the kids light up. And it's crazy watching, it's one thing having kids high five you and stuff like that, but having all the adults come up and stand up and cheer for you and shout and scream your name or boo you or tell you, you're terrible and whatever, right? You're getting that reaction from them and you're getting something they can maybe go home with and, be like, hey, yeah, I remember this spot here. Or, hey, I remember this here, right? And us doing the pictures, it's great, right? We've had times where we've had lineups of pictures of people waiting and waiting, and other times we get one or two, right? But even if it's just the one or two, it's just something for them, right? And I always find it so weird because you can see how much it means to a lot of them because how quietly they'll come up or how they approach you. Like asking, do you mind if I do this? Do you mind if I that, right? When,
Mhm.
of course, we're there. That's what we're there for.
Yeah. I mean, you guys do look terrifying at times, so I can see why there would be some hesitation. Uh, but in terms of the wrestling scene in Calgary, Rhino, we were kind of talking a bit before we hit record here. It seems very healthy here right now. Obviously, the city of Calgary has a deep history in the world of professional wrestling. But in terms of where we are at here in the summer of 2024, it feels like we're a good spot from where I'm sitting. What about you? How do you feel the health of the industry is in the city right now?
Honestly, I feel like it's on an uptake. There's lots of promotions that are around Calgary. There's lots of independent wrestling for people to take in. Currently, we're working for RCW and Wild Rose, and we got another one-off show for Nanbert Manor. They're putting on something called Manor Combat on the 21st of June, so that'll be fun. But at the end of the day, uh, attendances I've noticed even just since I've started wrestling have been going up steadily, and they're a lot more stable. They're not People aren't just coming out for the show with a big name on it. They're coming week in, week out, selling out legions, selling out bars, selling out arenas with dungeon wrestling. Like the fact that pro wrestling is on the return, which bodes very well for Chris and I, but at the same time, I feel like it bodes well for fans because they also have options. They
Yeah.
can decide what shows they want to go to, and they have such a plethora of talents they can choose to see. It's honestly incredible. It's a great time to be a fan. It's a great time to be a wrestler. It's a great time to just be around in general.
Yeah, no, it is really great. And Chris, I've noticed like my wife has come to a bunch of the shows that I've been lucky enough to do with Wild Rose, and every time that the first time it was her and a friend, and then it was her and three friends, and then her and five friends showed up. It seems like anytime just get into the building, you'll have a good time. But it also seems every time they have to get there a little bit earlier and a little bit earlier because the tickets are going. Is that something you've noticed as well, like Rhino, that things are really growing in the city right now?
Absolutely right. I mean, now you do have the one or two occasional shows where it won't be a lot. Like, I mean, there's tons of stuff in Calgary, right?
Yeah.
That's going on. But from when I started, even watching RCW as a fan 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago before COVID and that, right? It just consistently there, right? There's always a huge amount of people there watching it with RCW, with the other shows. Wild Rose is growing. You watch other promotions, they're doing amazing, right? You see, Dungeons last show was a full sellout for them, right? Which is absolutely great for them, and yeah, it's bringing back that spirit that Calgary used to have with wrestling, right? When everybody was all about it and they go and there's a big thing to go watch it, right? Which is nice because we get to be part of that, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. It's cool. And yeah, just seeing it like I had before before all of this, I had a wrestling show with Sportsnet 960 and seeing the passion that everyone had. And then like you said, the pandemic happens and all of that. And now to see it kind of coming back and to be the teeniest, tiniest part of things and watching it grow has been really, really cool. You guys have mentioned a couple promotions that you are working with. I thought I would give y'all a chance to talk some people into the door. Rhino, we will start with you. The best that one can do, pulled over on the highway wearing face paint. RCW coming up this weekend. I believe I saw it as you and Davey Disaster in a tag match against a couple of, to put it generously, a couple old fellas. What can we expect from you? And like I said, talk us into the door for that one this weekend.
We call ourselves the Prophets of Disaster, so you know what? That's cool too. The only reason that I'm tagging with him is because Chris is going to Vegas. But yeah, we've been picking on Steve Wild and Steven Styles quite a bit lately, and maybe they finally had enough. Maybe they maybe we'll see them actually get one up on us because Lord knows it's been a while. Um, it's it's going to be violence. It's going to be an epic show. We're going to give 110% like we always do, and we're definitely gonna show Calgary a good time. I think I still got some blood on my boots from Steve Wild actually. So I gotta get those cleaned off.
Well, maybe wait till after this weekend and then just get it all at once. That show it is again Real Canadian Wrestling coming up June 8th at the Royal Canadian Legion #1. So get your tickets now for that. Chris, also you guys are on Manor Combat coming up June 21st. For anyone who wants to come out and see the Profits, let us know what kind of a match and what kind of a style you guys will be bringing June 21st to Manor Combat.
We're going against Handsome Devils, right? I think it should be a really good battle. We've battled them back and forth through multiple promotions and that, right? They've actually haven't had one up on us the last time we met them, right? Causing us to lose, which is a big disappointment or get ourselves disqualified. They didn't actually pin us, so I want to point that out there. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a battle.
99.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. We know each other really well, as right. So I think we'll have to come up with a lot of new stuff. Me and Rand will be talking about a lot of different things that we can do instead, and just bring out something different for them, right? So it's a big surprise for them. But it should be a really good show. Hopefully, this new promotion works out really well for them. They're having a big party afterwards and a market before, and trying to make a whole day of it. And sounds like it'll be good.
Yeah, no, they are pulling out all the stops for that one. That event is coming up, as I said, it is June 21st at the Forest Heights Community Hall. Doors open at 6, bell time is at 7 o'clock. It's wild, I just had that memorized and didn't read any of that at all. Gentlemen, but before I let you go, plug yo shit. Rhino, where can people find you on social media?
They can find me at Rhino Reynolds on Instagram. They can find us at The Profits Official on Instagram as well. We have Facebook pages, Rhino Reynolds, Chris Castles. And yeah, just hit us up, man. Tag us in any pictures you take.
100%. Chris, I would imagine the social media takes a pause in Vegas. The whole everything that happens there stays there sort of thing. But yeah, the one more time, the social media is for you.
Yeah, basically same thing, right? As we have the shared one at Official Profits on Instagram. I have Chris Castles on Instagram, and then Facebook, same thing under Chris Castles, right?
Perfect. Guys, this was a whole lot of fun. Thank you very much for taking the time today. Best of luck, and can't wait to see you guys at shows across the city and across the province moving forward.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, man.